Hello, welcome to day 6 of our 7-day martial art challenge from the Academy of Kempo Martial Arts. So far we've done quite a lot. We've taken some of the formality out of learning a martial art, and we've just learned some practical stuff, proven to ourselves, I think, that martial arts doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be complex. Anybody can learn it, and it's actually fun and it's easy. So today, let's just recap what we've covered real quick. We've learned that to step back, we want a firm stance. The back leg is firm and locked, preferably locked. The front knee is pushed out for protection. Our hands come up. We've learned this step on the left side. On the right side, forward. It's really the same step. They're just different directions. We learned to step sideways and get into a side position stance, or the other direction. We know if we have to step and turn to the different directions. If he's in front, we can use that too. So that covers 360 around us. We've learned how to step back and then get our hands up. Okay, so instead of leaving the hands down, we know that the quicker we can get them up, the safer it is. We've learned that by being in this position here, we're a bit closed off here. We can block a little bit better. We've learned a little bit more of a formal block to intercept that punch, which we call a rising block, for a punch coming this direction. We also learned that this block here isn't to cover against jabs. Okay? It's for somebody coming in and trying to hit you pretty hard in the jaw. So we just intercept that. We've learned right after that interception comes our punch. Okay? So we block, counter. We've learned to punch one hand and then follow it right up with the next. Okay? We can call that a jab and not a cross. We've also learned how to kick with the instep up underneath the groin, and then we switched it to the ball. We've also learned that you do that one for the next little while. Our foot. We've also learned that our kicking out into the knee. We learned that kick is powerful, but takes a little bit longer and a little bit more practice to learn. We have practiced a few routines, stepping back, throwing a punch, throwing a kick, getting back out of the way. I also asked you to practice a little shadow boxing, turn to the side, hit, block, punch, think different directions, hit, kick, and just kind of shadow box, have some fun. That should have, if you've been following along, that should have gotten you kind of pretty comfortable. You should be sitting there thinking about, hey, what's next? This is pretty easy, this is kind of fun. We also covered something really pretty critical, and that is your personal space and your personal distance. Somebody tries to get in, which is about the distance of your stance, that you can just step back and you can keep a person at bay. And we learned our combative neutral, our get the hands up, show that we're not trained. Hey, I don't, back off, opposed to, hey, back off, this is a little bit different than this. And then I asked you to practice that. So that's pretty good. So now let's go on to a couple of other things. Okay, so when I say positioning, part of that is awareness, understanding where the threat might be, okay, where it could be coming from, and where you're vulnerable, where the exits are, which way to stand. It's going to be a lot to get into, so we can't really do it in this course, but what I can do is tell you a couple of things. Okay, standing from this position forward, slightly turning to the side, putting your right leg back and your left leg forward, or if you prefer, you can go to the other direction, kind of make sure it just kind of feels natural. And then taking the hands, crossing one over the other, and resting it right here. I'm sideways, there's not a lot of targets here. I can turn more sideways if I have to very quickly. I also am not sure that I'm trained, but I'm in a pretty defensive position. This can very easily look natural, but it can also move up to different positions where, that you just normally are in. Opposed to just standing right here with all your vitals right there exposed. Slightly turn sideways. So I'm going to have you think about somebody approaching you. Are you starting to think that maybe this person or this situation might not be what it should be? Okay, so stepping just slightly to the side, talking, instead of resting. Okay, so from this position here, I stick my right leg back, cross over, and just sit. That's it. Okay, so it's like, or it's going to be, hey, or it can even be, interesting. Talk with your hands a little bit. Okay, so we call that a combative neutral because we're ready for a situation to happen, but we're not advertising that we know anything. So that's a great way to train, is get into this position sideways and then just throw a kick. Okay, we're gonna do 5 of these and we're gonna throw 5 punches too. Slightly sideways, kick. Slightly sideways, kick. Okay, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now we're going to throw a punch. So what I'm going to do is I always like to add a block when I punch. So I'm going to intercept his fist. What I mean for that is I see it coming. So I'm going to hit into his arm and then punch right up on his chin. Okay, so if you can visualize it from this position, he's doing this. Okay, so I see it coming. I know my abilities. So I'm going to jam it. I'm going to intercept it. And I'm going to throw that punch. So we're going to just do 5 of these as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one, 5. Okay, so again, little things that you already know how to practice. We're going to go over now, basically, first sort of defense. This is a little bit harder because you have to really use your imagination. I think maybe tomorrow I'll have somebody here that we can go over and you can actually see how some of this works. But for now, you need to visualize someone coming up and doing that, pushing me. Okay, so he walks up, approaches, shoves me, I'm going back. Not really a good thing to ever let somebody do is get into your space, but we covered that last lesson, so obviously there's been a mistake. I've let him get too close, but we have to practice anyways. So as they walk up to shove, what we're going to do is we're going to use our stepping. We're going to step either forward or to the side. Okay, now I'm going to have you step with the left leg as the punch comes again, or the shove. We're seeing it come, right? His hands are right about here. So I'm just going to step right out of the way and get my hands up. Remember this? Okay, well, as his hands are coming this direction, I'm just going to go over here. Now look at where my arm is. His 2 arms are right here. Okay, so I'm right in the position. He's like this. Okay, so he goes to shove, I move out of the way. And it's a very simple movement. It just takes knowing what direction you're going to go and to get your hands up, and you just prevented being shoved, which might lead to, so shove isn't too bad. It's always the things that come after that are bad. Okay, like falling down or getting kicked or punched or grabbed. So as this shove comes in, I want you just to move. Okay? I like to practice this on both sides. So if I put my right hand, my left leg and my left hand move together. Okay, my right hand, that's it. Now put them together, it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, when dealing with a shove, it's nice to counter it as his weight's coming forward. 1, throw an elbow in there, or come up over the top, or even sidestep and throw a kick. Takes a little bit more practice. So for a beginner, I want you to think counter, but I want you to be safe. So we're going to step, hands are going to come up, we're going to turn and step again. Okay, so it's remember that kind of X pattern and you'll have it. You're going to step here, you're going to put this foot on the other side. Okay, that's that 45 this direction, 45 this direction. Okay, there, that direction intercepts. And I'm going to take this foot and bring it back over here. I'm just going to be a little bit more formal. I'm going to go 1, bring the feet together, and slide out of the way. So step and back. If you, again, have a good imagination, if you see the person shoving me, I'm getting to the side of him. Here he comes. I'm getting over there. There he goes. I'm now lined up to kick or punch where he's going to stumble or stop. Okay, so this is how I'd like you to practice this. Let me do it once with you with my back towards you. I'm going to step, hit, okay, push a little bit of the way, visualize where he might overstep, throw the kick, and back. Okay, so 2, step, move them out of the way, kick, and again, 3, step, back, now I'll do it with you toward the camera, 5, 6, we'll switch sides, 7, 8, 9, and the last one, 10. Okay, so again, pretty easy. The problem with this one is that anytime we are now practicing engagement where the opponent is that close to us, we have to train that more than, say, what we're doing here, because we have less time to react, and we need to react instinctively and pretty fast. If they come up and shove you, you're not going to be able to say, hey, I think I'll use that shove defense that I learned a couple of weeks ago. It's going to have to be a natural thing. That's why I like these based on the steps, because you've already done the steps. Worst case scenario here, he goes to shove and you step out of the way and you get hit only with one of his hands and you kind of get pulled off. You'll naturally actually go to where I want you to go anyways. Opposed to if you were just standing here, and you think about it, what you don't know. If you don't know how to deal with a shove, but before you even thought about martial arts or started practicing, if you don't know, somebody comes up and shoves you, and you don't know what to do, it's a horrible place to be. Okay, how are you going to react? I mean, where's this knowledge going to come from? A movie you saw, maybe there might be some instinctive reactions that you do. You might back off, you might save yourself that way. But we practiced for 6 days. Every class I've had you step the same direction. Now taking that base, even if you can't get your hands and shove the person or do those motions, this alone has already solved a lot of your problems. Even if you get hit and shoved, right? You go with it, you're back into this position because your body knows that this is a stable position to be in, because we've trained it to do that. So here comes the shove, bang. Now let's do an instant stop. Okay, so I always tell my students that if you're being shoved, you made 3 mistakes. 1, you got into a situation that you should have been in. 2, you let them get too close. 3, you let them shove you. That's 3 mistakes. You don't get a chance to make the 4th one. Okay, but we have to practice from that position anyways, just in case, especially if you have more than one opponent. Somebody might be here throwing it, shoving you this direction. We have to get used to this. But I like to cover, after we learn how to stop the shove, we have to have a shove to learn to stop it. Let's stop it before it even gets there. And that's an easy thing. I'm going to take a small step with my left leg, and I'm going to drive my right leg right up in, and then I'm going to be back into this position. You're going to have a choice. You can stay, you can go forward and punch and finish. You can go back, regroup, or you can shoot off to one of the sides. Okay, so what I want you to do on this one is, let's go ahead and step forward. So the person's coming from 2 to 3 steps away, their hands are up, you know you're in the situation. There's no, you can't cool them off, you know it's self-defense already. And you know what's happening, you might as well just end it quick. Okay? Don't give the guy too much chances to end you. So as the shove comes in, again, he's 2 steps away, I'm going to check my distance. That means I may step big or small depending on where he's at. My hands are going to go up and I'm going to kick, bang, I'm going to step right into it. Okay? His head should be coming down right into my fists. If I hit from here, anywhere here, it's going to hinge his body, right? Okay, so left leg, slide forward as the hands come up. Right foot, somewhere in the midsection. There's the jab, there's the cross, or a hook. Okay, so let's do a couple of those here. 1, 2, 3. You got to visualize him starting to push you. Okay, so he's right about here, right? I always use that step as my distance, okay, because that's my personal space. Okay, 4, and 1 more. 5. Okay, just kind of goes back to our shadow boxing. He shoves me from that angle, my hands come up and hit. Okay, I can practice actually from a shoving. If you've ever been shoved, you don't need to get shoved to practice. Okay, once you know how it reacts, you can imagine it. Here comes the person this way, somehow he shoves me. I'm going to go this direction, I'm going to get my feet underneath of me. And from here, I might block his punch, hit, finish with a kick. Look and see if he brought some friends. Again, that goes into shadow boxing, right? The more you do this, the faster you become at it. It's like any skill. You practice it, it's awkward at first, you probably doubt you'll ever use it or do it, and then in a short period of time, you actually get pretty good at it. So that's dealing with just a shove. Hey, if he's close to shoving you, we move him offline, okay? If he's about to shove you and we see it coming, we just finish it right there. Okay, now if you've already been shoved back, which again is the worst case scenario, the thing to do very quickly is to reposition in a different position than where you're going to go. Because usually it's like a shove and then a punch. They know how hard they're going to shove you or how hard they shoved you. As soon as they touch and push you, they kind of know where your body will end. Okay, so we don't want to really end there. If you shove me from there and I end up here, I'm now going to have to deal with your punch. Okay, so as soon as the shove comes, I'm just going to go with it and change the angle from not being straight. I want my opponent to have to turn toward me. So while he's turning toward me and orientating on me, I now can go offensive, and now he has to worry about defending himself instead of attacking me. That's what I want him to be thinking about. I want him to think about his defense, not what he's going to do to me. Okay? And I need to turn that on him as quickly as possible. So he comes at me, that's what he's doing to me. Okay? Now I have to worry about my defense. Bang, now he has to worry about his. So the quicker we can turn the tables on our opponent, the faster the situation can be over, the safer we may be. Okay, so practice shoving, getting your hands up, okay, picture boom, losing your distance, or losing your balance, excuse me, getting your hands up, throwing a kick. Also practice immediate stop, bang. The key that I'm trying to get you to do is visualize. Here comes somebody over here about to shove me. Bang! Okay? Here comes somebody forward and his hands are coming up. Or maybe his hands even coming this way. Ooh, boom, boom. If you play with that, with everything we've done, all of a sudden it's just going to be really pretty easy and you're going to start feeling a lot better about it. But the most important thing is you're actually going to be able to do it. Okay, so day 6 was easy, right? We've just sort of taken everything, and I wanted to show you today. I don't want to give you anything really new. I know I gave you a shove defense, but it really wasn't new, was it? It's exactly the same thing. And I wanted you to go through this today and see that everything that you did learn was really simple and that you actually know it. You actually have a working model now. If somebody, of course you have to practice to make it work, but if somebody, if you get in a situation, you're not going to be completely at a loss of what to do. You at least know that you can get into a fighting position, which gives you a fighting chance, right? So tomorrow, what we'll do on the last day is, I don't even think we'll have to review any of this anymore because I think you guys are doing great. We'll add a few things and I'll have somebody here maybe that you can kind of see a little bit more when I say the hands are in a position. If you can't imagine that, you can see it. And once you can see it, you can then reimagine it in practice. So congratulations on day 6 of our beginner martial art challenge to learn a little basic self-defense movements. You did quite well, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good day.